night, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Thank you for your pastor, Bill, and Scott, and uh, everyone here, Todd. And I'm glad to be here. It's my first time in Kentucky. So, yeah. And yes, I came from Quebec City. I was born in Quebec City, in fact. And first of all, I have to make a great statement. I apologize for my English. Okay? You may understand just a little bit before I start doing something more meaningful. But I was raised as a pure Quebecers, so in French. My parents didn't speak a word in English till now. So, so you may say, "Where? Why you speak in English?" So, I'm not perfectly bilingual, but I can speak. So, if tonight you have two choices, if you don't understand, try to understand more, or pray God for a miracle that you understand French tonight. In fact, you probably know my English teacher. Everybody knows my English teachers. Yeah, I'm serious. His name is Big Bird. And I don't know why, but when I was a kid on Saturday morning, I was watching cartoon and TV in English. I don't know why. So that's my first step in learning English. And then in high school, I take classes. And then when I was older, I began to read in English by myself. So I try and try and try. So thank you for being kind to me tonight. So as I said, I was born in a Catholic family. And at the age of kind of 7 or 8, one Sunday morning, I remember my parents told us, well, we didn't go to church anymore. So when you're a kid and you go in a Catholic church and your parents told you, we never go to church anymore, you don't ask why. You just say, in silence. So that's my only experience of church when I was a kid. And then I have a bad experience in my teenage years. And then at the age of 18, I met a guy who witnessed to me. And I accepted Christ. And in that year, I felt the call to be a pastor. So I began Bible college. And then I began to be, for almost 10 years, youth pastor in a church. And led me to what's going on right now in my life. And just to let you know, you probably don't know, as Pastor Bill said, Quebec City is one of the most beautiful cities in North America. No kidding. I stay there. I know what I'm talking about. And it's around 800K inhabitants right there. But only 0.5% are considered evangelical Christians. So no one's are really truly believers. And in fact, if you met some Quebecers in the street and you said, "Oh, are you believers?" They probably said, "Well, I'm Catholic," but they don't go to Catholic church anymore. Even on Easter, even on Christmas, they don't go to church. So most of the people cannot relate to the gospel. In fact, the younger generation, most of the teenagers now in high school never heard about Jesus in their life. They never heard the gospel. A lot of people who came in our church for the first time, most of them is their first time they enter in an evangelical church. And most of them, when we talk with them at the end of the service, never open a Bible for their entire life. We started with zero at ground level. So, and because of this, it became a burden for me. And I look around in the city, when where a place in downtown, there's no evangelical church. There's only a soup kitchen who serve meals for homeless people, and I say, well, people must understand and believe in Jesus. So we started a church for unchurched people. With a bunch of 40 people, we start Mosaic Church in downtown. And to be a church in the city, to be a church for people who are not Christians. So, and we just have the desire to, I know, I have to, sorry. Next slide. Okay. I'm in. Sorry. You have to say to me, well, flip the page, please. So, and we want to be a church for the community, in the community. So in a way that they could understand the gospel. So that's the way, kind of 12 years ago, we started downtown with only 40 people, with a desire and passion to make Jesus known in the neighborhood where we are right there. And at that time, that neighborhood was known for prostitutes, drug dealers, and homeless people. And a lot of people told us, you should not go there. It's not a place for a church. It's not a place for Christian people. And in our mind, in my soul, say, well, no. When Jesus walked in this earth, he was with those kind of people. Jesus was a friend of sinners. And because of this, that burden led us to start Mosaic. So we started right. I will get it. I promise. Before the end of the service, I will get it. It works. Great. And so we start downtown with in that place. So on the first floor, there's the soup kitchen who serve meals from the homeless people from Monday to Friday. And on the second level, there's a theater that we rent still now. So we planted a church right there. And because we want to be really intentional in the community, we started to make connection with the nonprofit organization and starting doing something for the community. One of the things, just show you some quick things. One of the things on each, I don't get it. One of the things we do, it's each Christmas in collaboration with the soup kitchen, we completely set up the sanctuary with tables, and we do a banquet for homeless people, and we receive each Christmas more than 300 people who came for, we do a Christmas song, and we welcome them, we offer them gift and a hot meal. So each Christmas we do that kind of things. Also, one of the pastor in the team, Jeremy, started, I see it in my iPad, so. And he started after school program. Since the beginning, we start a connection with a nonprofit organization led by Catholic sisters, and we just go and say, we just want to help you. So we start doing something and Christmas things and everything we could do to help them and be there and just show them the love and grace of God. And because of this, it leads to they do their own after-school program only for elementary school. So Jeremy started that program now for the teenagers, for high school young immigrants. And one of the things that we're trying to do, you probably heard in the news last year in Quebec City, there was a shooting in a mosque and people were killed and all that stuff. So on Sunday morning, my wife with others people and with others families, they do cards and some stuff, and they go after the service to that mosque and they let them enter in the mosque. and they were just showing, well, we're there for loving you in the name of Jesus. So we do simple things, but we want to be in the community and to showing love and grace. And I would just want to show you university. We because the church grew and we rent the space in downtown. We uh, we we have two choices: go in the suburbs, buy a land, and build a building. And it will be a great choices, but we will never be in downtown anymore. And we knew that we should stay there. So we decided to multiply ourselves in different churches around the city. So because we have a bunch of students, we began Mosaic University, and the university let us to be in the university. Each Sunday night, we have a service right there for students, and we were the only church allowed to be in the university. So it's really a privilege. And then the church grew again, and we faced another challenge, and we met. We decided to just set an appointment with the priest, just to let them know who we are and what we're doing. And we said we need a bigger space, and said, okay, yeah, we'll probably rent you a space. So we had that Catholic church in that neighborhood where there's no evangelical church at all. So he said we could rent you that space. And after the Catholic Mass, you could enter, set up your things, and do the service. But it's only for a year. Because from a year from now, we probably sold the building for condos and all that stuff. So we say, well, if it's an open door for the next step, let's try this. So each Sunday, after the Catholic Mass, the people, we were just at the porch. The people just came out and hey, yes, just shaking hands, say, hey, great to see you. So we're preparing something, I guess. And we entered the church and set up our stuff, doing our service right there. And we have our downtown venue and also the university. And we starting doing this. And 6 months later, I received a call from the priest. And he said, we need to talk. And at that point, honestly, I said, okay, it's today. He will say to us, it's over. You have to leave. So I go at that appointment. I sat down, and the priest was in front of me with others, people from his church. And he said, well, we sell the building. I know. And he said, but we broke the contract for the condo. What? Yeah, because we want you to buy that building. What? Because we want you to pursue the mission. Because for years, we knew you. We saw the way you do ministry. And I just want to know that we never compromise the gospel. We always said, that's the way we preach the gospel. That's the way we believe it. And we never been Catholic again. And it's okay for them. So it said, we know that you can be in that community and make a difference. So, short story long or long story short, by the grace of God, last August, a year from now, we just signed. And in last November, we began in the neighborhood in that Catholic church. And in fact, yes, you could see it right there. So we set up the things for a service in the sanctuary, and downstairs we set up all the things for children's, because we have a lot of young families, a lot of children's, and we ran out of space on downtown venue. So we moved almost all of the church right there, and now we're replanting it on downtown venue. So, and here is the priest. And on the first day that we opened the church, we invited the priest to speak to the church. We're kind of crazy, but I'm a Quebecer, so, you know. And you know what he said to the church this morning? Just a couple of sentences. And the church was full. A lot of people invite their friends, family, neighborhood. And the TV was there. The newspaper was there when they didn't invite them. But they was there. They heard about the change of the church. And the priest stood up and said, today I'm both sad and happy. I'm sad because I wish our churches was full of people like you, like young families and all that stuff. But that's not what happened for us today. But today I'm happy because the church was full again. And I know that in the future, people will enter the church again and receive Christ. Is that what he said? So it's amazing. And now we're in that building, and it's a tremendous and amazing day that we live in. Just a couple of stories. This summer, a young woman from our church invited her friend for a month, and she still refused. And you know what? One of the things that, why you bought a Catholic church? Are you crazy? It's not an evangelical church. Well, in fact, it's mission-minded. As I said earlier, when we planted Mosaic, is to find people who don't know God. And when you met people in the street or your neighborhood or your families, and you said that you're in an evangelical church, most of them think that you're in a cult. So we have to work a lot to bring them in the church. And some of them, their easy answer was, well, you're evangelical, I'm Catholic. I'm going to Catholic church. They don't go to Catholic church. So I don't want to go to an evangelical church. But now, when they said, well, I just go in the Catholic church. Yes, you could come there right now because we met in a Catholic church. You know, it's a tricky thing. We're kind of smart, you know. And these girls, one time said, okay, I want to go to your church. And she was raised Catholic, and till then, she go with his family to their Catholic church. And this morning, I just finishing preaching, and these young ladies came to me, and she was crying a lot. And she said, you know what? I was searching for something for so long. And I go to Catholic church, and I was like empty. And today, I found what I'm looking for so long. So it's kind of story like this. And that young man that's in the university at your left, Marketin, when he came, and you now more understand the way what we experience as a church. So he began to attend our church with his father, his father attended Catholic church and then switched to our church. But the young man came to the church, and he was in, out, and we don't know why he is in and out, to the point where we realize and we know that he was a junkie. Yeah, he was a drug addict. And he goes so far that 2 years ago on Easter, he go in prison, in jail, because he do crime and all that stuff. But in the jail, he prayed God. And finally, he go out of jail. He began a program to rehab and all that stuff. And he accepted Christ. And the last Easter, we baptized him with his father. So it's a long process. And sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. But we see people came to Christ and lives changed by the gospel. I want to read a text. And it's in Acts 17. And it will show you what we experience in Quebec as the context the spiritual context where we are right now. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jew and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace day by day with those who happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is the babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign God." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walk around and look carefully at your objects of worships, I even found an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.' So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship. And this is what I am going to proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands, and he is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they will seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him. True, he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. As some of your poets have said, we are his offspring. Therefore, since we are God's offspring, we should not think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone, an image made by human design and skill. Paul goes to Marseille and begin to talk with the Greek for the first time. You realize that those people never heard the gospel? Never. For their lives, the first time they heard about Jesus. Well, in fact, when Paul began to talk, some of them, who is that guy? His babblers? What is he saying? We didn't understand. He probably told us about a foreign god, and you know. And the way Paul interacted with those people were really interesting. Because for us, we live in Quebec City in a place where people don't know God. They never heard about the gospel. And even they heard a little bit, they don't get it with the cross and the grace of God and why Jesus died in a cross for our sins. And we're at the same point as the Greek right there, where they don't know God. And I really dig in the way that Paul goes deeper with those philosophers, those people. Instead of just, showing the Old Testament, the 10 Commandments or anything, that everything is great. But they probably didn't understand what Paul was saying. If it's what was for the Jews, we must take, you must take the whole Testament. But those people never heard, never understand. So he begins with what? Well, guys, you're really religious, by the way. Like kind of, hey, good job. You're religious, man. And he said, in fact, you're so religious that I see a God and a statue with an unknown God. You don't want to miss any God, you know. You're probably really fearing something because you don't want to miss. If we miss a God, it's for you, the missing one. And Paul took that opportunity, that open door to say, you know that God that you don't know the name? I know the name. I know. That's why I'm here, to tell you about the unknown God. Really? Yes. Okay. Tell us more. And you know what Paul did? He knew the people in front of him. And he knew what they read, what they watch on TV, what they listen, where they live, what kind of coffee they drink. And he took some phrase from their philosopher because he read them before. He's kind of smart too. And he said, one of your philosophers, oh, you have our attention. He talks something that we understand. And he took this to, switch through the gospel. And this is the God that you must worship. And, and he took what they know to make this understandable for them. And for us, in a mission context, wherever you are, wherever we are all on mission, right? When I began to church, a lot of people told about mission, and it's only on foreign countries. And I think in my mind, okay, if I was a missionary, I really need to go as far as I can. Take a plane, take a boat, and now you're in a mission. And it's all true and all great. But I realized at some point that I missed something. I missed that I first must be a missionary in my neighborhood. I must be a missionary in my own family, with my co-workers, with my unchristian friend. And if I didn't be that missionary, I missed one of the biggest part of what God calling me. And that's the burden that led us to Mosaic. You should ask why Mosaic? Is it the name for a church? Really? Well, as I mentioned it, most of the people, when you mention that you're a Christian, they believe that you're in a cult. But when you enter in a conversation and you say, oh, I go to Mosaic, you know what it led to? What is Mosaic? Great. Glad that you asked us. So now we could enter in a conversation and explain what our faith is about, what we're doing as a church. And in fact, if you enter in the new building, on each side, we have that logo, our Mosaic logo, and we have 3 sentences to define our church: joy, simplicity, and passion. Ooh, what? There's no grace, no sin, no repentance, no. Don't leave right now, okay? Give me a chance. I leave my house at 4 o'clock this morning, so please. Give me another 5 minutes, please. And why? Well, in fact, it's really spiritual. Really? Let me say this. One of the most thing that it make a difference between us and other religion, it's joy. If you think for a minute of any cult, any religion, most of them are, sad. You have to, hurt yourself, or it's only, it's not inviting. But when you read the gospel, in fact, when you read the Bible, many times the joy of the Lord is your strength. You have to be joyful, even in trials, or joy could be a really good part of our Christian faith. Simplicity. Well, most of the religion, you have to walk a lot, make some things, do those kind of prayer, beat yourself, or to be accepted. But our door is the grace of God, is the cross. And a 5 years old children could understand this as a 75 years old man. It's simple. The gospel is simple. It's simple to share. Everybody could share the gospel. So it's simple. Church is simple. It's not a religion. We have a faith. And we believe in a person who wants to be in a relationship with us. It's amazing. It's completely different than any other religion and passion. When in fact, God has so much passion for us, then He sent out His Son. And His Son has so much passion for us, then He died for us. So, is there any passion in the Bible, So, joy, simplicity, and passion. So, for us, it's deeply spiritual, it's deeply biblical, but at the same time, when non-believers ask us for something, or see on our t-shirts, on our church, and see joy, simplicity, passion. 3 great words, Who's against joy? Don't raise your hand. Who's against simplicity? Who's against passions? No one. We all want this in our life. So when we say, hey, that's what our church reflected outside. Each ministry of the church, we want joy, simplicity, and passion. So we kind of took what Paul do. We didn't change the gospel. We didn't compromise the gospel. We just changed the way we share the gospel. It's only this. Because we know that if we're not doing this, anybody will enter our church. Even we're smart, we're good-looking people, we're kind, we need to find a way to spread the gospel in a way that they could understand it. In verse 32, when they heard about the resurrection of the dead, some of them sneered, but others said, we want to hear you again on this subject. Two interesting facts. Here at this point, we could not see all the Greeks, all the philosophers say, yes, I need Jesus. There's people who just go away. It's not a success story, right? And others just said, well, interesting. I want to interact with you on this subject again. And in fact, it could be an encouragement for each of us. How many times we share the gospel, how many times we invest lives in people and we didn't see results and we give up. Really? Right? When I go back and when my early years of Christian faith, some people show me the way to witness, to do evangelism. And in my mind, it was like speed dating. I don't want to offend you. Let me explain me again. Don't be too soon to judge me. Don't judge me too fast. You know what speed dating is. But at some point, I said, okay, when you meet someone, ask him, are you a Christian or not? You're a Christian? Yeah, you're my friend. No, I'm not a Christian. Okay, now, you should believe in Jesus. You're a sinner. All the steps. And if after this, there's another option, you say yes to Jesus or no. Yes to Jesus, yeah, another friend. No. Okay, go away. Next one. And at some point, I realized, well, is this the way that I need to share the gospel? Is this the way that God intended to be? And I realized no. And I realized, in fact, in Acts 17, Paul, with all his smartness, with all his theological, philosophical, and all the whole, didn't to get it to have all these people. It's not a revival, okay? And it's Paul is better than me. And some just sneered out. And others, we need to talk much about this. And I found myself that it's probably the same thing as me. Really? And I just want to read a last sentence. In John 4, when a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. Yeah, really? We all need food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you will have asked him, and he will have given you living water." The woman said, "I know." Oh, thank you for this. Okay. The woman said, "I know that Messiah called Christ is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us." Then Jesus declared, "I, the one speaking to you, I am he." Jesus is showing us the way that we could embody the mission of God. It began and ending with relationship. One of the most interesting facts about that story is that if you look in the gospel, you don't find a lot of, times when Jesus stood up and said, "Hi, everybody, I am the one." He never told this to anyone. Interesting. Except this woman. She's a sinner. She have 5 husbands. So poor wife or poor man, I don't know. But, and she came to bring water alone. But most of the time, it's like a small group who go to of women who go there and she's alone because probably she was rejected by their neighborhood because she's such a sinner. That woman, she did bad thing. Even the Samaritan didn't want her. And Jesus sat at the well with that woman. He knew who she was. First of all, Samaritan. Jews, Samaritan, enemy. You don't be with a Jew and a Samaritan. She's a woman. A man, Jew, with a woman Samaritan? No way. But Jesus just sat there and just, "Hey, can you bring me some water?" And he began with that conversation about the water to show the woman that he is the living water. The one that she's looking for, he is. And he revealed himself as the Son of God. Just for that woman. Not a group of thousands of people. Was not on a hill preaching. Just sat down with that woman. Interact with her. Took time with her. You know what amazed me about Jesus? He knew that he had almost 3 years to set up the kingdom for hundred of years. I don't know about you, but if I know that I've only 3 years, I will probably pick the most smart guy around and do a great plan and send vision and all that stuff. But most of the time, what Jesus did, he had dinner, sit with people, talk with another one, go to a supper. He ate a lot, in fact. But he talked a lot. He make friendships. Because at the basics, Jesus was friend of sinners. And, well, I don't want to shock you, but we are all sinners. Great, Jesus is my friend. But he invites us, I guess, to be in mission with him and to make friendship with people and building relationships. And when we build relationship with people with nothing to do in mind, we build trust. And when we build trust, people see us not as we're there to conquer people for our church, but just to love them and showing them grace, mercy of Jesus. And then they really understand and feel that they needed Jesus. And they need to come to Christ. And some point, it took years. Some point, couple of weeks, couple of days. Sometimes it's tonight. But I guess that for us, for me, to be in mission, it's to wherever I go, I build relationship. I build friendship first. And then I could show them that I'm not a weird alien who come from the planet Christianity, but I'm human, imperfect, but I have faith in Christ. And I want to live for Him and make a difference in this planet. Even it's big like that, my difference. But I know that that's the mission that God called me to do. And even it's not easy to spread the gospel in Quebec City. I guess you have your own challenge here too. But we're all on the same team. We're on mission. And the mission starts in our neighborhood. The mission starts with people we don't want to hang out with sometimes. It's not evangelism, it's not speed dating. It's building relationship. I will want to end with this. If we think for a moment, that's the reason why we're on earth. Every human, why God created us at the beginning, at Genesis, to be in a relationship with us. Really? That we worship Him. That's the foundation. Why He created us. And in Corinthians, He said, "You're my ambassadors." Spread the flavor of Christ everywhere you are. You have to smell something good. Smell the grace of God, the love of God. And our goal is to show the world that the cross, it's only a bridge to begin a new relationship with God. That's what we're all called to do it. We don't have to be a pastor to do this. We are all on the same team, all on the same level. We need to build a relationship with people around us and show them love, grace, and hope of Jesus Christ. Just want to end with that quote of St. Francis of Assisi. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. And sometimes we're discouraged because we didn't see the impossible. We didn't see the miracles that we're praying for years. We didn't see result that we want to see. But we don't know if it's tomorrow. And sometimes we quit before God's showed up. And it's only our responsibility to love sinners and show them the love and grace of God. Thank you for having me tonight. I was asking to close with prayer in French. So that's the time to pray for a miracle, to understand. So please bow your head, close your eyes, and I will pray. Seigneur Jésus, nous venons devant toi ce soir. Et je veux te remercier pour chaque personne qui est ici. Merci pour l'Église. Et merci, Seigneur, pour ta grâce, ton amour envers chacun de nous. Merci pour la croix. Merci d'être tes enfants. Et merci de nous appeler, Seigneur, et de nous rappeler d'être en relation avec les gens autour de nous. Et de démontrer ton amour et ta grâce, afin que ceux autour de nous puissent connaître ce même amour que nous connaissons aujourd'hui. Dans le nom de Jésus. Amen. Amen.